I got started in security research back in college. I took a computer security class and I really enjoyed it. So I went up to the professor afterward and asked if I could do some research with him, and that ended up being Professor Ron Rivest, and I studied for my master's thesis electronic voting and cryptography.
One of my friends got infected by a computer malware, by a virus, and because I was studying computing and electrical engineering, I had to actually dissect that piece of malware and help my friend go into and clean up his machine. Later, an antivirus company placed an ad in one of the magazines, and I applied, thinking perhaps, with my experience and knowledge I'd be able to get in, and that's how I actually started.
I started into security during my bachelor's program. I had a great security course in my senior year, and because of that I went ahead and did a security master's program where I was introduced into the research aspects of this amazing field.
My background is more in the application and software security side. I started by working at Fortify and doing research there. More recently, I've actually been focusing on operational security, which has been an opportunity to get a better understanding of how software and all kinds of security evolve in practice.
In the past, malware was typically static. There were signatures that were able to detect these, and you could immediately clear your enterprise network. But today, they are a lot more sophisticated. You have malware that can mutate themselves so as to avoid being detected by these signatures, and they blend in very well with the current users' day-to-day activities. With data analytics, the world has always been able to predict anomalies. We've seen them being used in detecting weather patterns, in the stock market, and so on. Now, if we take these concepts and apply them to security-related data, such as network traffic or patterns of software in a host, we can clearly distinguish malware from a typical user's behavior. And we see this as the future of this field in terms of protecting today's threats as well as tomorrow's upcoming issues.
I think the most interesting is the switch of malware writers from being like a group of teenagers and little people who like to show off their technological skills to cybercrime groups that are really looking forward to make money, and they really have no ethical idea of what damage they can actually make to the companies or personal systems. And of course there is this notion that government organizations, nation states are also using similar skills to try to penetrate into somebody else's companies or other government spaces and try to steal data.
I think some of the most interesting parts of security that I've seen have been more when you start talking about insider threat. I've been really interested in this topic because it's very hard, because the people that you usually trust, you have to not trust. And I find that to be a really interesting problem and scary.
A few years ago, I came across a healthcare app that is typically used by smaller organizations. And I made an interesting discovery where if an attacker was on the same network, he could potentially elevate his privileges and gain access to all the patients' and employees' data. And when I realized the impact of what I had discovered, it was definitely a scary moment.
So the increase in sophistication of threat is really scary these days, and it's getting much more difficult to actually analyze and to realize what's going on when you find a new threat.
Today at Hewlett Packard Enterprise, I'm working on supporting the ArcSight products. A lot of what I'm doing is focusing on the users who may not be security experts, and how do we bring security to them? How do we tell stories about using our products that actually solve security problems?
My team is spread across 3 different locations, and to be able to work with remote talent is a very interesting and exciting opportunity. It gives us the ability to get the best and brightest in the industry and be able to communicate and collaborate with them in an effective way helps just boost the productivity of our everyday activities.